And we are back. I mentioned we're going to have the closing arguments for the Lori Phillips case. That's coming up at about 2. We also have the cross-examination of that defendant. But we're going to pivot for just a moment here to another trial in Wisconsin. It's all Wisconsin all the time. Closing arguments in another trial slated for Monday. This is the case of the woman accused of poisoning her friend with eye drops. Jessy Kurczewski is charged with first-degree intentional homicide and felony theft in the 2018 death of Lynn Hernan. Now, Hernan was found dead in a recliner. Bizarre scenario here. She has crushed medication on her chest. There's a plate with some more of that medication within reach. It's all prescription medication from her own stash, and it's found on her body there. She reportedly died after drinking a mix of 6 bottles of Visine and some water. Prosecutors allege the defendant killed Hernan, staged the scene to make it look like a suicide by overdose. She told the police Hernan had been suicidal and was trying to kill herself by drinking Visine and vodka. Okay. Kurczewski also accused of stealing nearly $300,000 from the victim. So a little motivation there. The defense rested their case yesterday, but there have been a series of very important toxicologists to help the jury understand what could and couldn't happen if you happen to drink some Visine. So let's catch up on the testimony from the first toxicologist is the one from the defendant, basically saying that there was some other stuff in this victim's system and it shouldn't have been there. Let's watch.
Baclofen was found in Miss Hernan, true?
Yes.
Now, should there have been from your review of the medical record, should there have been any baclofen in Miss Hernan?
No.
And that would be why?
It's about 9 months before, but don't quote me on the exact date, but within a year or so, there's a mention in the medical record where she tells her provider she can't take baclofen, and they discontinue it.
So she should have had 0.
Correct.
All right. Well, let's talk about the other drug that you said caught your attention as being pretty significant, cyclobenzaprine?
Yes, it's got another name, a brand name called Flexeril, and it is another skeletal muscle relaxant. It uses a different mechanism. It's a tricyclic mechanism and a sodium channel issue.
And can you tell us about, in that drug, should that also have been discontinued or not in her system?
It should have been 0 because there's also a mention she said she's gaining weight, one she got a rash. And she discontinued both of those.
Now, before we get to what calculations you made, I want to just ask you, when you looked at the drugs that were in Miss Hernan and the levels that were in her gastric fluid or in her blood, did you ultimately try to determine how many pills she must have ingested to reach those levels?
Yes.
Okay. Now, cyclobenzaprine should have not been 0 because she discontinued it.
Yes.
Are there side effects from cyclobenzaprine?
Yes, it's a CNS depressant. So, makes you drowsy, confused. Sorry. It'll affect your blood pressure. Eventually, as the level goes higher, initially you get a tachycardia, but then you get a hypotension because it's the sodium channel poisoning and there's sodium channels on the heart. So it does affect your heart and your brain.
So on the list of drugs that Lynn Hernan ingested, do you have an opinion about what's the least toxic in your opinion?
That acetaminophen level of 4.5 is one tablet. It's like